Grace and peace to you. Welcome to Morning Watch. I'm Rob, one of the pastors here at White Plains. Glad to have you with us today on a Thursday. This is where we gather for a song and a thought for the day. So glad you are here with us whenever you're watching. Thanks for being here. Good morning, Kenna. Let's begin our time together by going to God in prayer. Meet me, O Christ, in this stillness of morning. Move me, O Spirit, to quiet my heart, and mend me, O Father, from yesterday's harms. And from the discords of yesterday, resurrect my peace. From the discouragement of yesterday, resurrect my hope. From the weariness of yesterday, resurrect my strength. And from the doubts of yesterday, resurrect my faith. From the wounds of yesterday, resurrect my love. And let me enter this new day, aware of my need and awake to your grace, O Lord. Amen and amen. Morning, Robin. Morning, Faye. Morning, Terry, and good morning to you whenever you are watching. Thanks for being here. All right, so last night at a praise team rehearsal, we did a new song by Phil Wickham. Phil Wickham, right? I think that's his name. Called "What an Awesome God," and it's a rework of the Rich Mullins song, Awesome God. I'm not going to attempt that one this morning, as it's a pretty, it's a good song. And our sound guy, Rick Tursky, is actually singing the lead on it. And Rick, of course, has a great voice. So we're looking forward to hearing that in worship soon. But that got me on a Rich Mullins kick, and so here is Let Mercy Lead. And I thought that was think this song is appropriate for our devotional today. Morning, Faye. All right, so Let Mercy Lead. The Aiden in this song is the young son of Rich's friend Beak and songwriting partner Beaker. Rich, of course, didn't have any children, but he's writing this from the point of view of a parent to a child. And many years ago, I used to sing this song putting Vicky's name in there instead of Aiden. But I'll go with the original words this morning. Let Mercy Lead. There'll be a drop of grace if we can reach beyond the wisdom of this age into the foolishness of God. That foolishness will save those who believe. Though their foolish hearts will break, they will find peace. And I'll meet you in that place where mercy leads. In the day drop of grace. If we can reach beyond the wisdom of this age into the foolishness of God, that foolishness will save those who believe. Though their foolish hearts will break, they will find peace. And I'll meet you in that place where mercy leads. That foolishness will save those who believe. Though their foolish hearts will break, they will find peace. Their foolish hearts will break, they will find peace. I know your foolish heart will break, but you will find peace. I'll meet you in that place where mercy leads. Sorry. Ooh, that one always gets me. The power of telling a child, your heart's going to break. It's going to be all right. By the way, lots of chords in this one. That's a workout. Okay, sorry about losing it on you there just a little bit. Back to our book, Spiritual Classics from the Renovari Spiritual Formation Group. This is, of course, a collection of classic writings and writers from really all of Christian history. Yesterday we were in the 11th century with Hildegard of Bingen. Today we are in the 20th century with Dorothy Sayers. Dorothy L. Sayers. Some of you may be familiar with Dorothy Sayers from her literary work, either her essays or her Lord Peter Wimsey mysteries that she wrote. Richard Foster writes about her, says that Dorothy Lee Sayers is an imaginative and witty writer and scholar who mastered many literary forms. She's known for fiction, drama, literary criticism, and theological books and essays. She was the only child of an Anglican clergyman and his wife, and Sayers, she was a precocious child. She was born in 1893. She learned Latin at home before she even went to school. She distinguished herself at Somerville College, Oxford, where she earned both the BA and MA, specializing in medieval French. Yeah, me too. Then followed a bout of youthful adventure as an advertising copywriter in London, where her comic advertising campaigns, especially the Mustard Club campaign for Coleman's Mustard, set a bright new style in the field. So she did a little bit of everything. The next thing she did was writing this detective fiction series featuring an upper-class amateur detective, Lord Peter Wimsey, and his Oxford-educated associate, Harriet Vane. There's been TV shows made about that, and all sorts of good stuff about the Peter Wimsey, Lord Peter Wimsey murders. The 9 Tailors and Murder Must Advertise are considered among her best, and she founded a detection club, which was a circle of detection writers, and G.K. Chesterton was the first president of that. So, well regarded, right? She wrote many religious articles and books, including The Mind of the Maker, which was a treatise on the nature of God based on her own observations about the way writers invent character and story. I've not read The Mind of the Maker, but that sounds fascinating to me. She also wrote radio plays, and she was just vigorous and imaginative in her resistance to the drift toward modernity in the church and society. One of the things she tackled late in life was translating Dante's Divine Comedy from Italian to English, even though she was not familiar with Italian at the time. Of course, she had her Latin background, so that probably helped. So here's an essay which is taken from a collection that she wrote called Creed or Chaos. Creed or Chaos. And it's a fascinating little, it's short, but it's a fascinating discussion on law, on moral law. And as Richard Foster writes in his reflection on this, she's reminding us really of three things: the reality of sin, the limitations of the moral law, and the potential of grace. So listen up for that in this short excerpt. It's entitled Sinfulness in Society. A word or two about the Christian doctrine of society. It rests on the doctrine of what God is and what humanity is. This is, or should be, obvious. The one point to which I should like to draw attention is the Christian doctrine of the moral law. The attempt to abolish wars and wickedness by the moral law is doomed to failure because of the fact of sinfulness. And I'll read it and I'll share my thoughts at the end. Because of the fact of sinfulness. Law, like every other product of human activity, shares the integral human imperfection. It is, in the old Calvinistic phrase, of the nature of sin. That is to say, all legality, if erected into an absolute value, contains within itself the seeds of judgment and catastrophe. The law is necessary, but only, as it were, as a protective fence against the forces of evil, behind which the divine activity of grace may do its redeeming work. I'm going to read that sentence again. The law is necessary, but only, as it were, as a protective fence against the forces of evil, behind which the divine activity of grace may do its redeeming work. We can, for example, never make a positive peace or a positive righteousness by enactments against offenders. Law is always prohibitive, negative, and corrupted by the interior contradictions of man's divided nature. It belongs to the category of judgment, and that is why an intelligent understanding about sin is necessary to preserve the world from putting an unjustified confidence in the efficacy of the moral law taken by itself. It will never drive out Beelzebub. It cannot, because it is only human and not divine. Nevertheless, the law must be rightly understood, or it is not possible to make the world understand the meaning of grace. There is only one real law, the law of the universe. It may be fulfilled either by way of judgment or by way of grace, but it must be fulfilled one way or the other. If men will not understand the meaning of judgment, they will never come to understand the meaning of grace. And then she quotes Luke 16:31. If they hear not Moses or the prophets, neither will they be persuaded, though one rose from the dead. There is a lot in there, my friends. The writing style, of course, reminds me a lot of C.S. Lewis and his work talking about the moral law in Mere Christianity. But to be fair, she gets it out a lot. She's a lot quicker to the point than Lewis is. The law is necessary, but only, as it were, as a protective fence against the forces of evil, behind which the divine activity of grace may do its redeeming work. And again, later, there is only one real law, the law of the universe, which I take to mean God's will, right? God's will. It may be fulfilled either by way of judgment or by the way of grace, but it must be fulfilled one way or the other. Thy will be done. Thy kingdom come. If humans will not understand the meaning of judgment, they will never come to understand the meaning of grace. Fascinating. And right in line with, our mainline Christian theology. Jesus did not come to abolish the law, right? But to fulfill it, as he says in the Sermon on the Mount. This would be a great group discussion piece. I'd love to hear what some of y'all think about this idea that the law is an absolute necessity, but only to the point that it allows grace to do its most important work. That if we were to live just by the law, we would be condemned by it. This, of course, is the point of a lot of Paul's writing as well, especially in Romans, that the law is insufficient for our salvation. That only Christ and Christ alone and the grace of God redeems us. In Foster's reflection, he writes, apart from grace, we'd better thank God for moral law, which, with appropriate cultural distinctions, is universal among all civilizations, without which civilization could not exist. Moral law has the negative function in society of restraining evil, but no more. Sayers here reminds us of this inherent limitation on moral law. We should not try and make moral law do something it was never intended to do. Moral law cannot make righteous individuals and societies. It can only, I'm adding here, it can only punish and separate. Human beings, and society is merely a collection of human beings, have such a bent toward evil that they will always find ways to circumvent the law. Always. And that is why we need grace. Sayers here only hints at the potential of grace. Behind her brief hints stand the entire Christian message of redemption. How thankful we are that moral law is not the whole story. God, out of unrestrained love, sent his only Son as the propitiation for our sins, that we may have life through him. This is the glory of the exchanged life. Christ lives within us with such transforming power that we go beyond the demands of moral law and into all the potentialities of grace, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against that, there is no law. Mic drop from Richard Foster. And Paul, of course. All right. I really enjoyed reading a little bit about Dorothy Sayers, and of course I've enjoyed some of her stories. Detective stories are right up my alley, so hope she was a good writer for you as well. And we're dealing with this spiritual discipline known as confession. So when we think about this, think of it in that context, that the law convicts us to confess, but we are redeemed not by the law, but by grace. All right, thanks for being here. May you find peace and purpose in this day, and I will look forward to seeing you again tomorrow for another morning.